Hey everybody, how's it going? It's been a long time since I last uploaded a video, and that's because I've been really busy traveling with work. Lots of exciting things that I genuinely can't wait to share with you. Hopefully, when you see this video, it'll be another 5, 6, 7 days, and all of those things will be out, live, ready for you to see. It's been a busy few months. Some of the trips that we've been on have been absolutely amazing. Here are a few short clips. Actually so cold. Not yet, no. We'll be getting some fast. I don't know if it's fast. Hey. Look at this, those people on bikes. Morning. Morning. Oh, morning. Tandem. How cool is this? Morning. Morning. Oh, there we go, they're having fun. How cool is a tandem? I promised a while ago that I'd let you know why I wasn't returning to racing. There's more of them, look at this. Morning. 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 I'm missing out here, aren't I? Just riding by myself. Shoot with these guys. Morning. Morning. But before I tell you why I haven't returned to racing in the way that I originally planned, I'd like to share a few quick plans with you coming up over the next few months. Weird and wonderful events that I can never do before. Nighttime cross-country mountain bike racing, a downhill mountain bike race for charity, and 300km night ride, stupid idea, with Alex. Cheers, Alex. To understand why I'm not returning to racing, you first need to fully understand why I retired in the first place. 2017, the team I was racing for lost a sponsor. We were reassured all was good, but lo and behold, it actually wasn't. Week before Christmas, salary's halved, meaning basically trying to support a family on half the salary wasn't going to work out. Had an opportunity to join GCN and I took it because I had no idea what else to do. That opportunity was given to me at the end of April. I started on the 1st of June, having retired at 9 PM the night before in a tour series, finishing behind Tom Pidcock and Ed Clancy, which as your last ever bike race isn't that bad. Skip forward a few years. Didn't really enjoy my time there. I think that's probably pretty widely documented by now. Decided the only way to find happiness again in life was to return to racing. I returned to racing, trained throughout the last winter that I worked there, riding to work, riding home, trained really hard, got really fit, genuinely, felt as good as I'd ever felt on a bike. Then, at the start of 2020, we had a global pandemic. Meaning the very week that I could return to racing, we went into lockdown. And I was essentially stranded in this place of wasn't able to work, wasn't able to race. We were all locked at home with our families, which for me happened to be the biggest blessing that I could have ever hoped for. It was absolutely what I'd needed, a little bit of time between careers and things like that. I'm gonna pull over and stop. Time between careers turns out was all I really needed, and that whole coronavirus period, whilst being truly catastrophic financially, was the gift of a lifetime in many other ways, like reconnecting with family and doing the things that I really truly love. So I say it's catastrophic financially. As a 34-year-old, I've moved in with my parents, with my 2 kids, my wife, and my 2 dogs. And I don't think that was on anyone's kind of life plan to move home in your 30s, but it's happened. It's taken a long time to accept that, and we're moving on. I think part of progress is accepting the situation you're in first. You can only move on truly when you've accepted the circumstances that you're experiencing. So 6 months after moving home, I applied for a job on the internet with a company that a friend of mine set up quite a few years ago now, Lapierre. You can probably see the logo just there. It's not a secret that I work for them. I started working with them on the 11th of January this year, and it's been really busy, it's been really good. When I started, I was still training as if I was returning to racing, and that was very much so. There wasn't a huge amount of certainty around the British calendar, and it made it really hard to be motivated like I was 12 months previously when I was trying to escape the lows of working at GCN. But I was fit, I was strong. When we had team camps, I felt really good, and it was really enjoyable being in a team environment. It's quite a weird thing to talk about this, which is probably why I'm slurring and speaking very quickly. So, enjoyed the training camps, it was good. Returning to racing was still very much on the cards. I started with the cross-country mountain biking because there were no National Series races, and I wanted to return to racing at the National Series level and above, as I was when I retired. That's just the level that's always interested me. It's a nice mix of good bike riders, professional bike riders, and amateurs, and it's really good to mix, you know, the more experienced riders, the more successful riders, with the riders that also work alongside their careers, which is what I was intending to be doing this year. Then got properly into the mountain biking, genuinely absolutely loved it. Racing at Woody's Bike Park in the National Series was a low light and a highlight. I fell off after 3 minutes because I put some funky grips on my bars and I hadn't checked they were tight enough. The grip rotated as I landed off the first rock drop, and I felt really dizzy, really sick. I documented it at the time, but carried on. Eventually, after 55 minutes, realised that, oh yeah, this is concussion. I've been here before. Cue feeling exhausted for about a month after that, and headaches. Not as bad as the last time I had concussion, but bad enough that it put me off racing and it meant that I couldn't train to the same level as before. So that, plus a few other things, reassessing life, reassessing my situation, my circumstances, and what I actually want in my life, meant that basically the writing was on the wall, as it were, and that kind of hammered home my decision that retiring in the first place was probably, even though it was against my will at the time, I felt like I had no other option, the right thing to have done when I did it. Returning to racing wasn't as much about returning to racing as it was escaping a situation that I didn't enjoy. And actually all I needed to do was reconnect with my life and my family and things that make me truly happy, which is riding bikes, which is why I'm out here now. But competition is still something that burns inside of me, and if I try and suppress it too much, it bites back and I feel stressed, I feel anxious. So sprinkling in some competition like I did in the summer with the gravel hill climb. I didn't do as much this summer as I wanted to. The gravel hill climb, I did a time trial. I really like the idea of racing as an amateur in Belgium again and in the Netherlands. I think that's a really weird thing to want to do as an ex-bike rider, but it was something I enjoyed when I was a younger amateur bike rider, and I'd like to go back and do that one day in the future. But as I mentioned before, weird and wonderful events coming up over the winter, nighttime cross-country race, nighttime 300-kilometre Audax. Audax rides are how I started cycling in the first place. And then the downhill race, because I've never done a downhill race. It's for charity, for a good cause, so why not? It sounds like a little bit of fun. It's not too far away from home. That's the other thing. I've got 2 children. I can't continue to pursue the life of a single professional athlete. I have commitments outside of racing, and I did throughout my entire career, but when you've had the career and you've had that progression and you're not on that upward trajectory anymore, it makes it really hard to make that sacrifice. For me personally, that won't be the same for everyone. So yeah, that is part of my decision as to why I'm staying retired. Family, they come first. That's hammered home into me by my manager at work, which is really nice, Rob, because ultimately they're the people that you have around you for the longest, aren't they? Family, they will last forever. So have to make sure we look after them first. My time on the bike, that is something which I cherish dearly and I need to make a priority. I try to get out every single day outside. Obviously I do the Zwift rides, but that is slightly different. The buzz for me from cycling comes from the technicalities, just going around corners, around descents and things like that. So expect, going forwards, an event roughly every 4 weeks, because I think that's the right amount of time for me personally to work, to train towards something, to get excited about something. And it's not a huge commitment to my, on top of my family time. So it doesn't take too much time out of that. Gives me time to enjoy riding with my friends at home, riding by myself at home, because equally I quite enjoy that sometimes. Although I wouldn't want to ride for 6 hours by myself day on day like I used to. Just expect cycling, just in a different way, through eyes that I wasn't able to provide it before. It won't be just racing, there'll be the experience and the knowledge of racing, but done via amateur events that hopefully we all actually have access to, because I think ultimately it's really cool to reconnect with the reasons I got into cycling in the first place, like that 300 kilometre Audax. The first ever event I did in the world of cycling was a 100 kilometre charity randonnée by Audax UK. And going back to do those events, I think will be a lot of fun. I think it will provide me with the sort of happiness that I was looking for 24 months ago when I decided to return to racing, almost to the day in fact, when I handed in my notice. And going forwards, have fun on bikes. That's what it's for. It's meant to be a hobby. It's not meant to be something that I take as seriously as I used to. Like, if it's not providing me with the career, then the sacrifice of training isn't really worth it. You get a bit of a buzz and you enjoy the results, but I think trying to find a level of competition which fits around family life and a professional career outside of cycling is what's really important. Although I'd like to keep my professional career well within inside of cycling. I cannot wait for you to see the work that we've been doing with Nicole recently. Obviously, I have promoted some of those Zwift rides. I know that riding on Zwift isn't for everyone. It wasn't for me until I started doing this. And actually you realise that it really is about that social connection with people, and you're coaching people through an experience. It's a huge outlet of social activity, and you get fit doing it, which is quite good fun as well. So there'll be more of that coming as well. I won't put too much of that. I'll share teasers, I think, of the things that we've been up to. I think that's a nice way of doing it. And then you can go over to where those videos will be hosted and you can watch those if you're interested in that sort of thing. That'll be where all the training focused knowledge will be coming out, I think. So there'll be a little bit of that here because I've neglected that recently. The 360 camera is going to make a return. It's off for repair at the moment because I dropped it off a 5-meter wall back in April and have been too busy to send it off. I finally got around to doing that this week as well. They were good fun, and I think that was one of the things that I used that other people hadn't used at the time, was using the 360 camera to create a different perspective of riding a bike, and you pick up on all sorts of different technicalities there. So we'll find new creative ways of mounting that once a week as well. But yeah, one video a week would be good. If they don't happen, it's because I've been too busy. Hopefully that provides you with a little bit of insight as to how and what and why, with enough context. I don't just flicker between one thing to the next thing. That's not at all. And that was my, I think, major concern to the outside world, is it looks like, oh, fed up with that now, move on to the next thing. But it's absolutely not what happens. Like, I've ridden my bike since I was 9 years old. I stick with things through and through. It was just some bizarre set of circumstances that forced decision making that it was unforeseeable. You know, when I handed in my notice, the world hadn't heard of coronavirus. When I decided to return to racing, they hadn't heard of a coronavirus. But the second that I actually could return to racing, we were all stuck at home. And like I said before, financial catastrophe, but the best thing I think that ever happened, just spending time with family, was exactly what I needed. And I wish that had happened a year before, 2 years before, and life would have been a lot easier. But it's good to have those experiences because it helps you highlight things going forwards. And hopefully that will help me in the long run. I read a quote recently, if I can re-quote it correctly. Instead of asking yourself, why is this happening to me? Ask yourself, why is this happening for me? We can learn from every experience that we're in. And I think that's a really useful thing to keep going forwards. I'll see you next week in another video. I think that's it for today. You don't need to hear too much more waffle. I'm gonna go and finish my ride. It's a nice day. I have a little bit of time and I've got big wheels on my gravel bike to make it look like a road bike. So why not go and enjoy it, see how fast I can go. We're not far from that time trial circuit. In fact, we're right in the middle of the time trial circuit I did the other day. Went down the valley, down there, there's a mine. Looped up around, finished in that village. One of the best events. And I've kept my number from it and I need to return that today because they've got another event tomorrow. So I better go and do that. Anyway, thank you for watching. I'll stop waffling now. I'll see you in the next one.